My name is Daren Fulwell. I'm a product evangelist for IP Fabric, and I'm wanting to talk to you today about network assurance. And what do we mean by that? Very simple. It's the assessment of whether or not your network is delivering the service that you expect of it. But how do we do that? What are the components of it? The first thing we need to understand is inventory. We need to be sure that we know what devices we've got in our network, where they are, which vendor and platform they are, whether the code versions it's running are the right ones, and so on. Just that initial view of what the network looks like. Now, the problem with most networks is that inventory data is stored in multiple places. You'll find it in CMDBs, or you'll find it in spreadsheets or procurement systems where scattered across the organization. Obviously, difficult then to actually make sure that what's actually in the network is known. The second thing we're concerned with is configuration of those devices. What do we intend them to do? We want to make sure that we know what we're trying to get them to do and how it is that they're actually delivering that service for us. So we have config templates, and we have mail merge to create the configurations that get rendered into devices. And sometimes, if we're lucky, we have a nice little config backup system. The problem there is, of course, it won't necessarily have all of the information from everywhere. So sometimes we have to chop and change and use data from one place, bring it together with data from another. But that's the idea. The third element we're interested in then is the state of those network devices. So once that configuration has been placed in them, how are they behaving? Are they doing what we expect them to do as a result of that configuration? This typically is information that you won't have to hand. We don't typically store that data anywhere. If we want to find out what a network device is doing, we're going to go log into it. We're going to run commands on it, and we're going to extract the information back out. Or we're going to go to the controller, log into that, and have a look and see how it's behaving. So it's information that's usually available, but we have to go find it. So the next aspect is topology, and this leads up to one of a network engineer's favorite things, drawing diagrams. So typically in a network, what we're going to have is perhaps multiple diagrams to represent the same networks, to illustrate the different layers of connectivity that are available in that environment. And what you may find there is that those diagrams are in the original documentation that was created when that network was put together. So what to do? You need to look at an end-to-end connectivity across a network. You're going to have to look in multiple places. So to really have that understanding of the end-to-end behavior, you're going to have to worry about going to multiple different diagrams, going to different people potentially, and understanding how their parts of the network work, to bring all that information together, to really appreciate how an application is delivered and whether you're getting the correct connectivity. Because you're also going to have to talk to security people and understand the policy that's deployed across the network as well. So there's a whole bunch of different data sources and different people you need to speak to, but also lots of different mechanisms to get to that data as well. Now, the point with a platform like IP Fabric is we automate that process. So all of these things now are brought together in one place to give you a completely different experience of accessing that data. So our discovery process goes ahead and collects the inventory across the network. We understand how things are interconnected. So we're able to crawl through the network and gather all of that data about all of the devices in the network actually operating there. We can then go to those same devices, and as part of that process, we'll retrieve configuration information and retrieve state information and record the two together. So you see the intended action based on the config and the actual action of the box based on its state and its behavior. And then all of that information gets modeled and bound up into a snapshot of the network at a point in time, so we can track inventory, config, and state over time, from day to day, from hour to hour if needs be, from before a change to after a change. So you've got that constant view of what's happening in the network and where it is. Once we have all of that data, and you'll see those in blue on the slide here, we can then go ahead and do some calculation and do some clever stuff. And the first thing we do is look at topology. So we create topology diagrams from the information that we've gathered through that discovery phase. Completely dynamic. No need to go ahead and load a piece of software to do it. No need to practice your drawing skills. No need to spend time and energy, importantly, on actually creating that documentation. And then being able to do the same thing regardless of which part of the network you're talking about. So you can get your information about your campus, your access network, you can get information about your SD-WAN, your data center, even your cloud infrastructure. We bring all of that together into one place so you get that complete end-to-end view of the whole network, including security information, to really understand how an application is going to operate when it runs across the network. And then once we have all of that, we go a step further, because now what we can do, as we have all this in a database in a normalized form, we can effectively run queries on that data, which answer the questions, how is the network behaving and is it doing the things I want to do? So we have this assurance engine that sits on top of the platform and brings all of that information together and reports it out. Hopefully that's given you a view of what it is that network assurance is and how IP Fabric delivers that in an independent way to your network. Thank you.